It looks terrible. It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know, if you want to be charitable. But this is definitely not a hoax. And if you've got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victim. So what are you doing?
Right.
Joe Rogan is exposing the Epstein secret that every celebrity was trying to hide. According to these new receipts, Epstein's operation is still active. That's not all. Every celebrity who lied about their connection to Epstein is being named. And then there's the emails that expose exactly what was happening on Epstein's island and his New Mexico Zorro ranch. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in.
This is the one that I hate the most.
Yeah.
Because this one scares the shit out of me. Because the fear of, we talked about this yesterday with Roger Avery, the fear of these like literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give about human lives and enjoy watching people being tortured, enjoy watching people killed, participating in ritual sacrifice of people, and they do it in order to show that you're a part of a team and we know that has always historically been a real thing, and it's been something that you look at in history, you go, God, it's so sick, it's so twisted, it's so disgusting, and everybody wants to think, thank God that's not happening now. But then when you realize, like, that might have been happening now. Here's one of the craziest ones. The day he was indicted in 2018, the very next day he ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid.
What?
Yes. He ordered 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid to be delivered to the island. And so there was a lot of people online saying, oh, that was probably for his desalination plant. It's probably like a regular thing they need to order. So then someone else did a deep dive and said, no, this is the first time.
The Epstein files were first publicly released on February 26, 2025, when the Justice Department and FBI declassified and published the first phase of files. The real horrors, however, were discovered when a much larger additional release came on January 29th to 30th, 2026. When the Justice Department published over 3 million more pages under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Despite redaction, these files included names, pictures, emails, flight logs, and even property leases that showed a network of criminals that spanned across multiple governments, countries, and included politicians, celebrities, and scientists. This wasn't the work of one man, and it showed just how disgusting these elites truly are.
Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem sent the torture video to Epstein. This is in 2009. So Epstein was saying that. Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video.
Jeez.
I am in China. I'll be in the U.S. second week of May. What the fuck, man? And why is his name redacted? Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this. Like, how come you redact some people and you don't redact other people? Like, what is this? This is not good. None of this is good for this administration. It looks fucking terrible. It looks terrible. It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. Like, did you not know? Maybe he didn't know, if you want to be charitable. But this is definitely not a hoax. And if you've got redacted people's names and these people aren't victims, you're not protecting the victim. So what are you doing?
Right.
And how come all this is not released?
Joe Rogan discovered a secret that everyone involved with Epstein has been desperately trying to hide. Epstein's network of elites is still active, and they're going after anyone that speaks out. Epstein's alleged suicide was just a show to make it look like the network was over. Rogan, however, believes that it's impossible that one death can end an international network that has existed for decades.
They compromised people.
And it's been going on forever.
Yeah,
Forever, dude.
It's got to be going on right now still.
100%, but
it's got to be happening somewhere where you can get away with it.
Well, I mean, even in the Disney film, in Pinocchio, it's unbelievable, the pub scene.
What are you talking about? The new one?
No.
The old one?
Yeah, the pub scene in Pinocchio. And you'll remember this when you saw it as a kid. It gave you a creepy feeling in your belly.
Let's see it. Pub scene in Pinocchio.
He talks about
bringing
the boys to Pleasure Island And then he starts whispering what happens to the boys, and the fox freaks out. He's like, oh, but, and he goes, no, they don't come back as boys. Watch it.
Ooh.
Right in your face.
Ooh. When do you think they started doing stuff like that?
Dude. He goes, we steal stupid little boys. It's the pub scene.
How would you blokes like to make some real money? Well, and who do we have to, No, nothing like that. You see? I'm collecting stupid little boys. Stupid little boys? You know, the disobedient ones, what Playo give from school. Oh, and you see... And I takes them to Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island? But the law, suppose they... No, there's no risk. They never come back as boys.
That's the thing. It's like they're going to kidnap these boys, but why?
And they're not going to kill them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. You want to make real money. And the line before it, like, we'll stoop to anything for this much. And that's what people don't understand. That power will bring the pure demonic devil out of you if that's who your God is. And this fucker was like, she's like, you want to make real money? We steal
boys.
Stupid little boys. We bring them to Pleasure Island. And then you see the fuck, he goes, Pleasure Island? And he goes, no, they don't come back as little boys.
So you gotta think, in 1940, when they're writing this, the guys that are writing this, they must have probably heard stories about children getting sex trafficked. They must have heard those stories, because we've heard those stories.
Yes.
We've heard those stories as adults.
Yes.
Where there was always stories about some weird government in Italy, was it say, where the original story was written, the donkey is a symbol of stupidity. The moral behind Pleasure Island is that little boys who scoff at education and moral codes set forth by their parents, preachers, and authority figures will engage in jackass behavior instead, such as fighting, vandalism, underage drinking, and often destined to grow up to become men who have no option to make a living except through back-breaking manual labor. And there are plenty of people in the world, such as the coachmen, who will take advantage of that. I think maybe there's a little more going on there. Like your interpretation of that, that's such a shallow interpretation of them kidnapping boys and saying they don't come back as boys.
We're just trying to help their education.
And then he's evil. So like, what value would he have for what's the value of those boys if you're not sexual them? Like, it seems like that's a very specific possibility that's happening.
The point I'm getting to here is, given Jeffrey Epstein's involvement in the BCCI network, given Jeffrey's involvement in the 1990s with all the foreign policy activities happening in the Middle East at that time, given Jeffrey Epstein's, involvement through, the early 2000s Clinton era and everything, given his involvement in everything from Israeli to Saudi to British to French high-level government officials, Jeffrey Epstein was investigated by the SEC in the 1980s. He was one of the two people who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in history at the time in the United States, the Towers financial collapse. Epstein's business partner goes to jail for like 30 years or 20 years or whatever. But Epstein skates completely free. Epstein gets involved in this huge fraud in the U.S. Virgin Islands with this, billion-dollar fraud case in the U.S. Virgin Islands, never prosecuted for any of it. Why is that? Well, one is, he may have, we know in the U.S. Virgin Islands case, he was sponsoring the campaigns, basically, of the politicians there. The prosecutors answer to the politicians. Could be that. But I would be shocked if they're in 40 years of this Where's Waldo, Forrest Gump, he's always in the room, in 40 years of American foreign policy and intelligence activity, money sourcing for all the crimes that Epstein committed, the concern was the same one they had with Rolando Masfer. Don't bring the case, and if you do, bring it in a highly limited way. And that's exactly what happened in 2006, the first time he was indicted.
The reality is that Epstein's replacement had already been planned years before his death. Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, Lex Wexner, Elon Musk, and even Mark Zuckerberg. Every major elite that was in Epstein's network continued to meet him even after his induction on the charges. At the time, everyone that was meeting with Epstein knew what kind of person he was and what he had been doing. The only reason they were meeting him afterwards was to discuss business. If his network was really this easy to leave, why did the elites not leave the second he was arrested?
They'll have an understanding of how things are really working than ever before.
Yeah.
Like this Epstein file thing, right? That was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. When you see how many people after 2008, after he was arrested, after he went to jail, were actively taking money from him. MIT took money from him and tried to hide it and said to make sure that any donations from Giuffre are listed as anonymous. So you find out like people are like, they referred to him as Voldemort, like you couldn't say his name.
Wow.
There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested, after he went to jail.
Do you spend a lot of time reading them?
No, I try not to. I try to have experts come on. I try to read. You can't change it.
Yeah.
And it'll with your head.
Yeah, it's
like
toxic.
You will really get.
It'll stick with and I know I've tried not to.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of them.
This isn't just random speculation. There is actual proof that Epstein's network is still active. For one, Ghislaine Maxwell has refused to speak out even after his death. Ghislaine would rather stay in prison for the rest of her life than risk speaking out against the network. She knows that the day she reveals any secrets, they're gonna get rid of her just like they got rid of Giuffre. The worst part is that they're actively getting rid of witnesses. These victims are scared because they know just how powerful Epstein's friends were. These people are still in power in the government, and they're not afraid to silence anyone. Virginia Giuffre was one of the first victims who came out against Epstein. She showed pictures of herself with Prince Andrew years before any real investigation began. She spoke out against the criminals, and she was silenced because of it.
Welcome back and Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Breaking news coming in, some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post, several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of abuse and sex trafficking." The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico and in New Mexico and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken. The Post says the allegations became the biggest scandal to rock the royal family in a generation. Again, hearing of the sad news just within the past hour, Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, taking her own life on Thursday. It was announced on Friday, her death. She was 41 years old, her family confirming this.
Virginia had announced that she was writing a book about everyone she saw during her time on Epstein's Island. Before she could release the book, however, she was hit by a truck. And although she survived this, she allegedly committed suicide days later. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Shortly before her death, Virginia had actually tweeted about being targeted. The tweet reads, "I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. That's not all. The worst part is that if this is true, some bodies might never be found." Emails from Epstein show him buying large quantities of sulfuric acid just days after his indictment. There are claims that Epstein wanted to use this acid to get rid of any evidence linking him to his crimes. Details about what kind of evidence he was trying to destroy haven't been made public. But according to some rumors, Epstein was trying to get rid of human remains.
Here's one of the craziest ones. The day he was indicted in 2018, the very next day he ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid.
What?
Yes. He ordered 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid to be delivered to the island. And so there's a lot of people online saying, oh, that was probably for his desalination plant. It's probably like a regular thing they need to order. So then someone else did a deep dive and said, no, this is the first time this was ever ordered.
I checked that again. I saw there was 2 other ones.
Oh, there was 2 other orders?
2017 and 2015.
Oh, so that guy was
could have been
wrong.
the first one from that company, potentially.
Ah, that makes sense. So maybe it was for this desalination equipment.
Yeah,
but also, that's a lot of sulfuric acid. You know, if I needed 5 gallons for my desalination equipment, but
Right.
239 gallons or whatever it is to burn kids. Yeah. To get rid of bodies.
Kind of hard to think of any other use for acid, just in general. Right?
Immediately,
So
you think.
Immediately.
Yeah. The other orders, were they that large?
Let me check.
Because here's the other thing. I mean, how long has he been killing people? How long have they been boiling bodies to get rid of them? I mean, if you do have, for lack of better words, let's call it a service, where you allow rich people from foreign governments or whatever, you set it up. I can give you whatever you want.
Right.
Like, what I want to do is I want to cook her.
Emails from the Epstein files outright say that there are bodies buried at his New Mexico ranch. The Department of Justice had these emails and files for years, and they never did anything. Epstein's Zorro Ranch was never investigated. Images from Zorro Ranch were also released, and they show an endless, empty desert road to Epstein's Zorro Ranch in Stanley, New Mexico, where state investigators are now raiding the 7,600-acre pedo playground for the first time ever. Victims say victims were tracked and abused here for decades. Tipster photos show grave-like plots dug up.
Epstein's Island. A lot of people don't talk about his ranch in New Mexico.
Yeah, and his mansion. I mean, it was popping off at all his spots.
He built a 26,700 square foot mansion with a sprawling courtyard and living room, roughly the size of the American home. Nearby was a private airstrip with a hangar and helipad. The property also included a ranch office, a firehouse, and a 7-bay heated garage. Yeah, that sounds like an intelligence agent right out of a movie.
Yeah, and we're never
luring all the politicians into the honeypot.
Yeah.
And how many people died because of that?
We're never going to know. They're never going to let us. We'll never know.
What a genius con.
Yeah.
What a genius con. You get some guy, you say he's a billionaire, you just give him like a blank checkbook, which when you're spending $170 billion on Ukraine and $136 billion here and $46 billion there, we got to upgrade that and just let these people in, and that costs $30 trillion. Like fucking, what's $1 billion?
That's right. Yeah.
What's $1 billion to control literally the greatest scientists and entertainers and politicians, and just get them all convinced?
Yeah.
Look, Bill's here. Look who's here. Stephen Hawking's here. Look, this guy's here. Look at this Nobel laureate's here. Look at all these brilliant, esteemed scientists. Look at these amazing conversations. Look how beautiful these women are.
There are hundreds of hours of footage and thousands of images in the files that directly connect elites to Epstein's crimes, but so far, no action has been taken. There have been no arrests, no investigations, and some of the worst offenders were never even questioned. There are people in the government who were photographed on Epstein's island and lied about it under oath. How is this being allowed to go on? Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick was caught on camera lying about being on Epstein's island.
Like, is it wild that people are on the files, visited the island, and then they still work?
It was unbelievable.
Some people had to resign from some jobs.
Well, especially just him, because the way, there's something about a really confident liar. Like, where they just, because I mean, that interview clip where he's like, let me tell you something. I met Jeffrey Epstein that one time. He had a massage table. He said they were sex massage tables. I went right back to my wife and I said, honey, we are never hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein again. And that is that, you know?
Is that really the quote?
Oh, dude. I mean,
haven't seen that.
I don't know if it's verbatim, but that is the exact spirit
we should
of it.
probably be pretty verbatim.
Oh,
let's listen to it.
Listen to it. I'm
find it.
very, very close to exactly what he said.
Okay.
May I get this one again? What was this one?
Lutnick interview about Epstein. Okay. And he just sounds, I mean, so like morally outraged about the idea.
There's so many people that they exist in that world where you just pretend that you're a different person. You pretend you're one way.
Yeah.
You pretend you think things differently.
And he opens the doors and there's a massage table in the middle of the room. And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. Ooh. Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. Oh, so I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift.
Yes.
Of avoid. And so, yeah, that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
These elites weren't scared of being arrested because they knew nothing was going to happen. It didn't matter if they outright confessed to their crimes in these emails. At times, the Department of Justice actually redacted the names of the criminals, but not the victims. It was actually the victims that had to suffer as a result of the release of these files.
The email that I sent you, Jamie, where he's talking about children for... Do you remember, the email I sent you, Jamie? I sent it the other day. I'm like, well, that pretty much sums it up then, because he actually said it.
Oh, yeah.
Find that. I sent it to you in a text message. Okay. This one's crazy. This one's crazy.
I've heard
so he's having a conversation with a woman who says that she heard that there's a place. Here it is. She's very emotional, kind, loving, sharp. I think you can become friends too. So here it says, a friend, Eliza, told me about a project she's doing researching a really bad guy that gets children sent to his island. She almost fainted when I told her that person is me.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
What? Okay, so that's just there. There's no way to interpret that any other way. That person is me.
That person is me. I'm
Children sent to his island. That person is me. Holy shit. So, that one is crazy. That's 2018.
So yeah, this has been going on for...
So this is right before he got arrested, right?
Supposedly.
But when did he get arrested?
2019.
2019, right?
What month?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was May, maybe.
So this was but there was an investigative reporter that was at the head of all this. This lady that was really pushing because she had found out about his sweetheart deal in 2008.
Some investigative journalists claim that the real reason these elites aren't being prosecuted is because the new head of the network is using them. We already know that Epstein was working for someone more powerful than him. At this point, it's only a question of who Epstein answered to. Allegedly, Epstein was running a blackmail ring that involved bringing these men to his island and then filming them in compromising positions.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state-funded... You're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and you know there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her juggling around. While
he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those
100%.
guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
Perhaps the only person who is under investigation for his role in the Epstein network is Prince Andrew, brother of King Charles. Virginia's testimony and the photographic proof that she submitted is the reason that Prince Andrew has had to face any scrutiny. His title was taken away, and a few months ago, Prince Andrew was actually arrested by the UK police for his involvement with Epstein. Unfortunately, Virginia Giuffre died before she could see this happen.
From disturbing photos of the former Prince Andrew to his alleged sharing of government documents with convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, the fallout from the Epstein Files once again putting the British royal family into turmoil. Andrew has denied all wrongdoing, but the pressure is now ramping up on the royals to do and say more about their disgraced relative. The Crown, under fire.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
From King Charles to Prince William, shouted at in Saudi Arabia.
To what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue?
ITV also capturing Queen Camilla getting tough questions too.
Do you have a message for Epstein's victims, Your Majesty?
We've never actually seen other members of the royal family heckled to the extent that we have in the last few days.
The royal family forced to confront the fallout from former Prince Andrew's relationship with disgraced financier and convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein.
If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive.